placenta, particularly placenta pregnancy, diba? When we speak of placenta pregnancy. And the tumor marker that this particular condition uses is the HCG, which is particularly produced by the trophoblast. Thus, it is used for diagnosis, for monitoring, and even for management. Now, if you will look at the entire classification, so gestational trophoblastic disease is the umbrella term. No? There are two components. The benign form is hydatidiform mole. The malignant is GTN, or gestational trophoblastic neoplasia. Now, you will see here, choriocarcinoma, PSTT, epithelioid are malignant components, but they are non-molar. While invasive mole is a malignant component, but it is molar. Okay, we'll explain that further later on. So, when we speak of gestational trophoblastic neoplasia, that is the diagnosis, that is the clinical term. But this invasive mole, choreo, PSTT, and ETT are histologic classification. Ibig sabihin, you will not get this diagnosis if you do not have a specimen, particularly the uterus. So you will be able to get this diagnosis if you remove the uterus. Okay? So the clinical term is GTN. We will describe this later. This is the gross appearance of the hydatidiform mole. Look, you see my pointer? Nakikita ba yung pointer? Hindi, nakikita. Wala. Ayan lang. Those white things are vesicles. Vesicular tissues. That's how, if you will recall, a normal pregnancy is a baby with a placenta. A placenta is a meaty structure, meat-like structure. Now, the placenta, instead of this pregnancy, H-mole, is a form of pregnancy, don't forget, it's a form of pregnancy. That when it develops, it does not develop into a baby and a placenta. All what develops is the placenta. The placenta is that one that overgrows into vesicular tissues. So, in Tagalog, ang tawag sa H-mole is Kiawa. Kiawa, H-mole, hydatidiform mole or Kiawa, okay? So, histologically, look at the left side. Left side is a normal histology of placenta. You look at those below. These are the vestiges, are the chorionic villi, tawag siya. Chorionic, the red ones are the blood vessels, okay? Now look at the right side. Look at the difference. Look at the chorionic villi. They are edematous. Edematous, and there are no blood vessels inside. So, avidus, no? And look at this violet structure. These are the trophoblastic proliferation. That is what is significant or pathognomonic of H-moles, the trophoblastic proliferation. Because sometimes even in abortions, you may find immature placenta or also edematous villi, but the difference is that may blood vessels at all. And the difference again, once you see trophoblastic proliferation, madaming trophoblasts, that means what you call this, a H-mole. Again, hirap ng bagong early to rise. Okay, now let's take it easy. 6 o'clock, no? Pag-asadaan na ako nun. 4 o'clock. Okay, anyway. So grossly, this is how it looks like. Vesicles, variable sizes, and with thin pedicles. Ang tawag dyan, if you read literature, parang grape-like structures. We describe it as sago. In the vernacular dialect, sago lang, no? Misis, may lumabas pa sa yung sago-sago. So when you're taking again, then let's look again at the histologic. Okay, ayan. Again, what do you notice? Generalized edema, cistern formation. Look at the avascular villi, walang blood vessels, and look at the trophoblastic neoplasia, haphazardly arranged. Okay. Now, what is the incidence? Very high among Asian countries. The Philippines is one of the Asian countries. Not as much as you have in our counterparts, Caucasian our counterparts. So again, parang And sad to say, it's also a more or less a majority of women who have this are also the lower socioeconomic. I don't know why, but there is a possibility of diet or vitamin deficiency being a positive agent or risk factor. Now, these are the different risk factors. Now, remember very well, emphasize, the two strongest risk factors are age, extremes of age, very young and not so very young. Young ones and the young ones, ONCE. Yung young ones, ONES, young ones. Kayo yun. Yung ones, ako yun. ONCE, okay? When we say young ones, yung bata talaga, mga teenagers, no? To the early 20s. That's a risk factor. And then, if ever the woman still is capable of becoming pregnant, mga 40s, then that's the one we say young ONCE ones. Okay. Another risk factor is very important. All of the rest are risk factors, OCP, previous miscarriage, smoking. But what is important are the two, yung edad, the age, and a previous history. If you have had one age mole before, what happens? You already have a risk of 0.9%. The moment you have two previous molar pregnancies, you have a 20% chance of getting another one. But when you have a molar pregnancy, that doesn't mean na lahat na lang ng pregnancies mo. You can still have normal pregnancies. Now, the pathogenesis as far as complete mole is concerned, it typically arises from chromosomal abnormal fertilizations, and they are usually diploid chromosomal composition, and 85% are 46XX. What do we mean by androgenesis? I think it is better exemplified by this picture. Look at the upper picture. This is a normal conception. A 23 chromosome sperm will fertilize an egg that also contains 23, right? So when they unite, they form a 46 chromosome, right? 23 from the sperm, 23 from the egg. That's normal. What happens with the complete mole? Let's talk about complete mole. A 23 sperm will actually fertilize an egg that does not contain maternal chromosomes. Wala siya, empty siya. It's because the egg is inactivated. So what happens when they actually unite? It's only the paternal, the sperms, chromosomes that duplicates, and that's what we call androgenesis. The 46 resultant chromosomal is purely of paternal origin. That's what we call androgenesis. That is when one sperm only is involved, the smaller sperm. In another situation, you may have two sperms fertilizing. Still, what is important is empty yung egg. So si 23 sperm, 46. Also of paternal origin. The more common one is the monospermic. The dispermic is not that. But again, you always realize that it's the egg that is empty. Okay? No chromosome. Now that's the complete mole. It is a benign condition, but it has a potential of becoming malignant in about 15 to 20% of cases, which is actually higher than partial. Rinig niya ako at the back, you can hear me. Hilo pang salita. Hilo pa, no? Now let's go to partial mode. As the name implies, partial. Yung complete, the entire pregnancy is converted into sago-sago. Kasi complete mode siya. The placenta is converted into sago-sago. As the name implies, partial, then is a fetus. And the placenta is also converted into sago-sago. Kaya siya partial, okay? Now, there are some elements of fetal tissues, and look here, now, if you will compare it to the picture I showed you earlier, you will see that there's swelling of the stroma, there's also chorionic villi that are avascular, but they're also normal vesicular, or normal villi, and with functional fetal placental circulation. Okay, so that's partial. Now again, to explain this, the partial is triploid. Again, complete is diploid, partial is triploid. Let's show it by an example, by the illustration. Again, let's go back normal. 23 sperm, 23 egg, 46. Normal. Si partial, para siyang dispermy ng complete mole. 2 sperms fertilize an egg. But what's the difference? There is an egg. The egg contains chromosomes. So what happens? 69 na siya. 23, 23, 23. Tama ba yung math ko? Okay. So, okay, this partial mole is similar to dispermy complete mole, but the difference between complete and partial is the absence of chromosomes sa complete mole. The egg is inactivated. So the chromosomes of a complete mole are purely paternal. Okay? What about the malignant potential is less than complete moles. It has a lesser chance of becoming malignant. Now the thing is, how will you differentiate a partial from a twin pregnancy? Ang twin pregnancy means there is one fetus that's normal, ang kanyang ka-twin ay H mole. So parang it seems like it's the same as partial mole. Because a partial mole has a fetus and a molar placenta. It is important that you be able to distinguish one from the other. How? Amniocentesis, fetal karyotyping. Obviously, the karyotyping of multiple pregnancy or twin pregnancy is normal. Okay? What you call this, the viability or the survival of the twin, the normal fetus is variable depending on what are the complications that may arise. I have not really seen fetuses or twin pregnancy na is very rare. Twin. Isang normal baby at saka isang H mole. It's very rare and I have not seen babies really reaching to term. Through literature, they were able to survive the twin normal fetus, but rather preterm, and then sometimes they succumb because of prematurity. Will they develop malignancy? The risk of developing malignancy in a partial mole, complete mole, and a twin pregnancy is almost the same. Okay. Now, what are the clinical findings? Actually, with the advent of ultrasound, the diagnosis has been early, and with people being more aware, women being more aware of prenatal care, then the diagnosis is early. The symptoms are detected, the molar pregnancy is detected early before any complications happen. Now, if you will look at these different signs and symptoms, why is it highlighted? Because the uterine bleeding is the universal, it's the most common symptom. So I will not ask you in your examinations to enumerate these. We're going to be given cases. Now, what are the three very important clinical or obstetrical conditions in the first trimester that will manifest as uterine bleeding? The amenorrhea, uterine bleeding. Tatlo yan, ano? They are abortion or miscarriage, ectopic pregnancy, and H mole. If you will recall your obstetric score, tingnan nga natin, naalala ba nyo? 2 months ago, nasa second year kayo, di ba? Tama ba? You came from second year, right? 2 months ago, you came from second year. Now, let us remember your obstetrical score. Di ba, gravida, blank, para blank, and there are 4 digits. What does gravida stand for? Gravida. Huh? Number of? So number of pregnancy. So if this is your third pregnancy, gravida 3. What does P stand for? Parity. Para. Ano? Number of pregnancies who have reached viability. Okay. Tama. So kung twins din yan, dalawa din yung number mo sa P. O yung balik na tayo sa inyong obstetric index. Anong tawag nyo sa obstetric index? Anong tawag nyo? Ano yung abbreviation? Ano? Ha? So, obstetric yung 4 digits, di ba? Tawag nyo TIPAL. O, di ba? TIPAL. Ano yung Ano yung T? Ano yung P? Ano yung A? Abortion. Sabi na nga. Talagang lahat ng sumasagot. Mali. Hindi. Actually, it's complete. You have to remember yung A does not just stand for abortion. It also stands for history of ectopic pregnancy and molar pregnancy. So if you have a patient who has had a normal pregnancy, isa, nagkaroon siya ng preterm, isa, nagkameron siya ng H-mole, isa, ano na yung score niya? There are 1, 2 living children, ano score niya? Magiging sabi ko, term, preterm, H-mole. So, term niya, isa. Preterm niya, isa. H-mole niya, lalabas siya sa A. So, A does not stand for abortion only. Dapat AEH. Or AEM. Abortion, ectopic, molar pregnancy. And that's what I want to emphasize. A molar pregnancy is a form of pregnancy. That is why when you take the HCG, it's positive. Remember, HCG is the hormone that you measure when you do pregnancy test, di ba? That is the hormone that is secreted by the trophoblast. Once the trophoblast develops, alam mo yan, you will start secreting HCG. So again, you're given a case, 1 to 2 months in amenorrhea, vaginal bleeding, or uterine bleeding. Tatlo ka agad yung iisipin niya. Abortion, ectopic, H-mole. Then followed by other symptoms like nausea and vomiting, enlarged uterus. The uterus, in 50% of cases, will be larger than the estimated age of gestation. Tamang patient. Mamaya, hindi nga pala ako discuss yan sa ibang section. But anyway, if you're confronted with the patient, age of gestation computed is 10 weeks, but when you look at the patient's uterus is 1, 5, 16 week size. Ang laki, no? 10 weeks na ang computation mo. So, one of the differentials will be H-mole. But not all cases. 50% of cases lang. In other cases, they may be compatible. Age of gestation plus size, particularly if it's a partial mode. So, if you have a uterus that's already the size of 4-month size, 5 months, you should be able to hear fetal heart tones. Wala pa rin. So, that's not normal. You should also be able to palpate fetal parts, especially if the patient is still. Unless the abdomen is thick, it might be difficult. But walang fetal heart tone, walang fetal parts. Some will manifest with thyrotoxicosis. And all of this, even severe preeclampsia, all of these are secondary, nausea, vomiting, malaki uterus, thyrotoxicosis. All of these are secondary to very high HCG levels. Because the HCG levels of H-mole are very much higher than a normal pregnancy. Also, common in H-mole are the thicca-lutein cysts. These are the thicca-lutein cysts, these are the yellowish and smooth ovary. So whenever you hear ovarian new growth sa H-mole, you think of thicca-lutein cysts. And it's also secondary to overstimulation from very high amounts of HCG. Now let's go to diagnostic. Diagnosis, whenever you see a patient, number one, victim. Whenever you're confronted with a patient with a missed period, what is the first thing that you should do? Pregnancy test. So all women are considered pregnant unless proven otherwise. No matter how high she declares the high, I am a virgin. Hindi naman pala like a virgin lang. Hindi siya I am. Okay? So pregnancy test, and that the HCG is the one that is the hormone being measured in a pregnancy test. Anybody here has become pregnant already? Anybody has become? Wala pang naging pregnant, wala pang may anak. So hindi na kailangan, not necessarily married. Okay, ayun, sa likod, yung lalaki. Ay, pwede naman anak. Hindi ka naman anak, pero may anak na. Giniginaw kayo, no? Sige na, mag-jacket na lang kayo. Umiin na yun, di ba? Madami ng aircon. Okay. So number one, elevated height or elevated HCG. Much higher what is expected of age. So, in HCG, if you were to call PCOB na naman, you have the HCG starts to rise during pregnancy. The moment she becomes pregnant, the trophoblasts are already being formed. In situ trophoblasts are the ones that actually secrete HCG. Tataas yan up to what? 10 weeks. That's when it reaches its highest peak, 10 weeks, which is about 100,000 milliIU per year. But then during pregnancy, it will go down a little and remain elevated until the rest of pregnancy. In H1 is different. It will go up, mabilis pa nga ang up niyan, much higher than a normal pregnancy. And it reaches amounts like even billions. For a specific age of gestation, nga 10 weeks lang yan. Tapos ang kanyang value, 750,000. So this is one way now. Now, if you, the pregnancy test that you do, kung sa discrete na yan, it's only a qualitative, it just simply tells you plus or minus. Plus or minus. Sometimes you'll be surprised, it's negative. When in fact, the serum HCG, this is serum, and you measure it in the serum, and the values that you obtain are quantitative. Talagang there are specific values. So because of the very high values, sometimes the antibodies are saturated. So you get a negative urine test, okay? Now the next, dalawa yan eh. Very basic, very important diagnostic. The more accurate or the more definitive diagnosis is the ultrasound. The ultrasound here, no? Yan. You will see here a snowstorm pattern. Ano ba yung snowstorm, no? This represents the vesicular tissues that I showed you kanina closely. Diba? Sago-sago. These itong black things are also the sago-sago structures outside. Grossly, I mean. So this is what we call snowstorm. No? Snowstorm, snowman, snow cone, snowball. Snowstorm. Okay. Tumama naman kayo na. Alam na, antok pa kayo eh. Ayun yung sa Monday. This is the, they're used to be very awesome. Rainy days and Mondays always get me down. Very hard to start, very hard to wake up in the Monday. Kasi you have a good weekend talaga. You had a good vacation. So if you intend to have a vacation, okay, uuwi na Sunday na gabi. Sunday morning, umuwi na kayo. You have time to rest and be early again around Monday. Diba? So you will see here, no? Snowstorm pattern, the echogenic mass with anechoic cystic spaces without a fetus or embryonic sac. Look at that now. Look at the other picture. This is a partial one. You have a thickened, multicystic also placenta with fetus. Meron siyang fetus there. Okay? And what's bad about it, especially at ultrasound, if you do it very early and you're talking about a partial mole, sometimes they diagnose it as a missed abortion. So it's not straightforward like that of a complete mole. The diagnosis of ultrasound is straightforward. So again, dalawang diagnostic na HCG, serum HCG, tsaka transvaginal. Whenever you're being asked, what will you do? Don't just say ultrasound. There's so many ways to do ultrasound. Kasi daw, abdominal ultrasound, brain ultrasound, whatever, liver ultrasound, you say a transvaginal ultrasound. Okay? That's more specific when you're talking about pregnancies. Okay. Now, the third way to diagnose is really confirmatory na, or histology na. Na-evacuate mo na, then you send it for histopath, then that's what the pictures I showed you kanina, yung edematous villi, avascular, and with trophoblastic proliferation. Now, if these are all still one way of differentiating a complete for a partial is immunostaining with P57. P57 is a nuclear protein that is paternally imprinted and maternally expressed. What does that mean? What does that translate to? Remember I told you kanina, complete mode, walang egg, activated ang egg niya, walang chromosome. O paano nga i-express si P57, okay? Got it? So in P57 becomes positive with partial mode. So sa tatlong P na yan, P57, partial, positive. A complete mode is a P57 that's negative. So that is the way of differentiating. If still you want to really, you still want to further differentiate one from the other, you go molecular genotyping na. So number 1, HCG, ultrasound. Unahin na natin ang ultrasound. Kasi ultrasound, the moment you perform it, you get the results. Unlike the HCG, it takes about 24 hours before you get the results. And of course, it's more confirmatory to some visualization. And then the HCG will just confirm or validate if it's really a molar pregnancy. Okay. Again, no, if the molecular genotyping will determine the parental source of alleles, a complete one is a diploid diandric genome, diploid, no, diandric, purely of paternal origin. This one is a triploid diandric monogenic genome, while a non-molar abortion is biparental diploid. Okay? Ayan, after I've spoken for 25 minutes, actually, dapat ito na lang pinakita ko eh. Namagon pa ako na. Okay? So, this is a summary of how to differentiate a complete and a partial. Just read that, no? And it actually is a summary of exactly what I said. Be able to determine why partial mode is 69 and complete mode is 46, and why is the P57 in partial mode positive and the complete mode is negative. Okay? Now let's go to management. O, sige na, yung patient, alam mo na, H-mode to. There are three ways to manage. I mean, there are three phases. The first phase, of course, is early diagnosis, and you should be able to recognize the different medical problems that exist in this particular patient. What are the common medical problems? Tapos doon, the second phase is evacuation na, after evacuation, and the third will be post-molar surveillance or monitoring. So, preoperatively, these are the things that you have to do. And these are the common complications, medical problems that arise with HMOs. Anemia, electrolyte imbalance, particularly she's complaining of hyperemesis gravidarum or nausea and vomiting. Hyperthyroidism, preeclampsia. Dapat may infection pa yan, no? Infection also is included. So anemia, infection, electrolyte imbalance, hyperthyroidism, preeclampsia. For you to be able to identify whether this exists, then you have to do the necessary laboratory examination. These are the laboratory examinations that are routine. Chest X-ray to determine if there's congestion or embolism. No? MRI, CT scans are only done if the chest X-ray is positive. No? If it's negative, you don't anymore have to do a CT scan. Already very important, even in the diagnosis, you already did the baseline serum HCG. Now you go the hemogram for anemia, for infection, serum transaminases, if your patient particularly has hypertension, creatinine, electrolytes, if she has nausea and vomiting, or hyperemesis. You remember hyperemesis gravidarum? That's a condition where you have severe nausea and vomiting. There's nausea and vomiting, physiologic nausea and vomiting of pregnancy, that's physiologic. But when it's severe enough to really interfere with the daily activities of the patient, then that's already called hyperemesis gravidarum, enough to have some electrolyte changes. And then you go, very importantly, thyroid function test. Determine if your patient has hyperthyroidism, which is very common also in HMOs because of the very high HCG titer. Remember that HCG, particularly the beta component, what? Beta pala, sorry, alpha. Alpha component is similar to what? SH, FSH, and H. Ano pareho sila? Meaning to say, HCG also exerts a thyrotropin-like effect. So you'll have to check because you're afraid of what complication pag may hypothyroidism. Ano pwede if you leave it untreated? Ano pwede mangyari? Thyroid storm. Okay? Sige. So now let's go to the next phase. Termination or evacuation. The procedure of choice is suction curettage. If you look at the picture, this is a curette. The curette is the one that scrapes the endometrial cavity. Scrape, kayod. That's dilatation and curettage. Raspa, Tagalog, di ba? Pag may nakunan, meron ng abortion, you evacuate the product of conception using doing the DNC, dilatation and curettage. So this one here is a curette. But in a molar pregnancy, you cannot do a ordinary DNC, hindi pwede. Masyadong blood yan. At saka most often the uteri are big. No? So you will incur too much blood loss. If you do the ordinary, ngawit na ka na sa kama na yan, ngawit ka. So the preferred management is suction curettage. Okay? So this cannula is actually attached to a suction machine. So while you're supposedly curetting it, it's being suctioned already. So the procedure is faster and you incur less blood loss. Okay? So habang sinisip-sip na niya yung mas pabilis ang procedure. Okay? Now, once you're doing the procedure, there are some complications that may occur. You may have profuse bleeding, and you can use these different uterotonics. But remember, misoprostol is not what you call this legal in the Philippines. It's under the table. You buy it only in Quiapo under the bridge. Illegally pa. It has never, for the longest time, we've been trying to legalize the use of misoprostol, particularly for hemorrhage, for postpartum hemorrhage. But I don't know, it has never really, because in other countries, misoprostol is an abortifacient. Actually, yes, it's an abortifacient. So, we do not, if we use misoprostol for conditions like postpartum hemorrhage, that is off-label account now. But because of the advent of new medications, we do not anymore need to have misoprostol. We have carboprost, we have carbetuzin. These are drugs that are being used for uterine bleeding. So again, when you give a uterotonic, it's not like when you evacuate H-modes. It's not like when you're evacuating a normal pregnancy. Diba, when you're evacuating a normal, delivering a baby, sometimes you get the uterine contractions, you give oxytocin, oxytoxic agents to help contract the uterus para madali ang delivery. That's normal. But in H-modes, you never use these agents to induce uterine contractions because you might throw off emboli and cause trophoblastic embolization. Okay? Trophoblastic embolism. You only give this oxytocin, oxytoxic agents, as soon as you start the procedure. Not to induce. Kasi sometimes you admit the patient, sarado by cervix. Never give these uterotonic agents, oxytoxin agents, to contract the uterus and help the dilate. If you have to dilate that cervix, what do you use? Mechanical dilators. We have the laminaria tail. These are mechanical dilators. Sometimes catheter also used to dilate that cervix, but never any drugs, whether it be oxytocin or what you call this, or prostaglandins, hindi pwede. Okay. So of course, if the patient is a Rh negative, they will give anti-D immunoglobulin. Then prophylactic chemotherapy, I'll just discuss it later. So, before there are other ways of evacuating the mole. We had, as I already mentioned, no labor induction, wala no yan. Hysterectomy, ano ba hysterectomy? Hysterectomy is opening the uterus, create an incision. Cesarean section is a form of hysterectomy. Otomy is opening up something. Laparotomy, opening up the uterus, abdominal cavity. So hysterectomy, opening up the uterus. Dati, we used to open up the uterus, evacuate the products of conception, then particularly in older pregnancies that were really big. But now it's not being done anymore because of the increased blood loss and the persistence of the disease. So suction across all ages, across all sizes, lahat yan, suction curettage. However, if for example your patient is of advanced age, she has already completed her family, she's not anymore desirous of pregnancy, then ang tatlo yun, advanced age. Ano ba yung advanced age? 40. Ako, advanced na. Diba? Yun naman, you don't tell your parents, Mama, you're already old na. Do not say that. Sabihin mo na lang advanced age. Okay. So, women of advanced age, they have completed their families. Grabe na 7. Hindi na grabe na. Grabe na 7, grabe na 3. And more importantly, hindi na ayaw na magbuntis. Then they can proceed with total abdominal hysterectomy with bilateral salpingectomy. TAHBS, ha? Makita nyo sa exam, hindi nyo alam, baka punta kayo sa doktor, ano po yung TAHBS? Aba, yung sinabi ko yan. TAHBS with mole inside too. Meaning to say, you remove the uterus, nandun sa loob yung mole. So that's another way of evacuating the products of conception. Another way of managing HMOs, no? Suction curettage, look at the patient. Pag binigyan ka ng case, tingnan mo, bata ba ito, matanda. Grabe na. Okay? So, you're given a choice. Ano ba ito? Suction curettage ba ito? TNC, TAH, o TAHBS with mole inside you. Yan talaga. But, you do not remove the ovaries, even if you see a thecal cyst. Does not require removal because that cyst will regress when HCG titers become normal. Okay? And besides, if you remove the ovaries, what will happen? Ano ba mangyayari pag tinanggal mo ovaries? You will render the patient surgically menopause. Again, ano ba yung menopause, di ba? Malayo ito, tututunan nyo ito sa gyno later on. Menopause is when the woman loses all of her ovarian function. So when a patient has had a hysterectomy lang, di ba the patient will say, ay, doktora, menopause na ako. Menopause is only in the sense that she's not going to menstruate anymore. But through the true sense, she's not just menopause. Menopause only occurs when the ovaries have been removed surgically or the ovary ceases to function already. Wala na estrogen. So it's the important part is the removal of the ovaries. Even if the patient has undergone hysterectomy, kung nandun pa yung ovaries niya, hindi pa siya menopause. Understand? Okay. So after, third part, pre-evacuation, yun yung ano sabi natin. Pre-evacuation, you identify the medical complications and treat them accordingly. Second part is the actual evacuation or evacuation or termination of pregnancy. Number 3 is post-evacuation, which is very important. Number 1 is you have to mesh after you have done your suction curettage, definitely you have to send the patient the specimen for histology evaluation. Okay. Second is you have to monitor serum beta HCG. Third, while you are monitoring HCG, you have to give her contraception. Bakit mo bibigay yung contraception? You have to do not allow the woman to become pregnant for the entire duration that you are monitoring her. Because if ever the HCG rises, you might be confused as to whether this is a intervening pregnancy or she's developing into a malignancy. Okay? So yan ang tatlo ginagawa, no? Actually more contraception as well as HCG monitoring. So the goal of you, why do you have to monitor? Why do you have to take HCG? Because you want to know if your patient's condition is resolving. And in the previous slide, I showed you that resolution more or less happens in 7 weeks if it's a partial HMO. And if it's complete, it's 9 weeks. Ano ba yung normal HCG? Sige nga, alam ba niya? 0 to 5. Baka mamaya hapon na tayo makasagot. 0 to 5 milli-international units per ml. Parang talaga, galing kay second year, parang nabura lahat ng second year. Actually, pagkasandik pa lang ng test paper, nabura na lahat na nandyan pa lang dyan. Parang yung mga brains nyo, parang siya tawag dito yung yung laptop, yung storage. Test ka lang, labas ang output. The moment natapos yung exam, binigay mo na. Biglang automatic delete lahat yung mga information. Wala kayong ini-store. Tawag doon na lang stock knowledge. Dapat may stock knowledge. Anyway, So, third year na tayo, no? Pauwi na, no? Everything we're talking about is something abnormal na. And understanding the abnormal necessitates what? It is necessary that your basic knowledge is intact. And madaming basic knowledge. Madami naman yung memory, no? Madami memory ang no? Hindi ka kayo ng laptop mo, maubos na memory. Okay, so, you have to monitor HCG because you want to see if it's resolving or it's progressing to malignancy. Two lang. One is you prevent pregnancy. Kanina pinakita ko na, no? The preferred method is oral contraceptive combined. Pwede rin ang injectables, especially if your patient is not compliant. Imagine she having to drink a pill every day. So mas maganda, DNPA every 3 months, or even an implant, pwede rin. You do not use an intrauterine device. Alam niyo yung IUD? This is a device that you insert inside the uterus to prevent pregnancy. Do not use that. Because, not unless your HCG titers are already normal. Because you might encounter perforation. Particularly if you are dealing with an invasive wound. Barrier is the poorest. Ano bang example ng barrier? Barrier, contraceptive, ano? Sample, narinig ko na, louder. Condom. That's a barrier method, no? Mga cervical cap, barrier method, binabara. Hindi pwedeng pumasok ang barrier, no? Ganun ang condom, diba? That's the only actually contraceptive method that's available. So again, aside from that, obtain beta HCG within 48 hours. Like, evacuate ka, get that baseline HCG. In the first place, no, you got the HCG before you manage the patient, right? That was for diagnosis. Ngayon, take it again, and you monitor it every 1 to 2 weeks. Until it becomes normal. Pag nag-normal na, 0 to 5, you monitor it for monthly for the next 6 months. Get? So weekly, within the first 48 hours, 48 hours after, then 1 to 2 weeks, pag normal na, every month for the first 6 months. Provided it's normal pa rin, ha? That's for complete mold. Pero pag partial, 1 month na, nag-normal ka, get another one after a month, yung tapos na. Pag normal pa rin, stop. So all throughout the time that you're monitoring, you have to be on contraception. Okay? The third part of post-evacuation, you only give chemotherapy is the management for malignancy. You only do that when the HCG titers rise or they plateau. Okay? So once the serum levels are normalized, then you can already allow pregnancy to happen. Now, these are the risk factors. No? Sino ba? Who are the people with MHMOs to be at high risk for malignancy or GTN? Complete, partial, 15 to 20% are complete, older, maternal age, HCG more than 100,000, memorize, but I will not ask you to enumerate your given cases, ha? So you still have to memorize, ha? Okay. Now let's go to the malignant. We have 8 minutes to finish the malignancy. Gestational trophoblastic neoplasia is the malignant counterpart. This is a clinical term, meaning to say you can make a diagnosis of GTN based only on symptoms and HCG titers. Abnormal HCG titers, matataas ang HCG titers, you're showing signs and symptoms, GTN. You do not need to have yung sabi ko kanina, IM, invasive mold, choriocarcinoma, PSTT, EDT are histologic classifications. Yes? Now, GTN, I already emphasized the different histologic classification. Now, GTN may arise or develop from any type of pregnancy. HMOL in 50% of cases. So GTN, in 50% of GTN arises from an HMOL. 25% of GTN arises from an abortion or a tubal pregnancy. And 25% can arise from a preterm pregnancy. Meaning to say, anybody who becomes pregnant can develop GTN. Sa Tagalog, or in layman's term, cancer ng pagbubuntis, cancer ng placenta, ng inunan. If you're explaining it to the patient, ano ba meron siya? But invasive mole, as the name implies, only arises from an H mole. Kaya nga H mole, okay? So the most common findings, no, will be, these are some of the clinical findings, no? Aggressive myometrial invasion, very metastatic ito, no? Irregular bleeding, that's also another thing that you have to think of. You are given a patient, this patient has had an H mole, so and so, no? Comes with irregular vaginal bleeding. What's the first thing that you have to do? Kunyari, hindi mo monitor ang HCG. Any woman who comes in with vaginal bleeding, you should have a high index of suspicion, particularly after any pregnancy event. She had a normal pregnancy, she had an ectopic, she had an abortion. Normally, you should expect that that HCG is already normal by 2 to 3 weeks. Zero na dapat yan, negative. However, 2 weeks, huh? However, your patient, the moment comes, a patient was just had it, do not decide, ay, normal lang yan, kapapanganak mo pa lang. You have to also look into the possibility to take a pregnancy test. Pag positive, take a zero, yung quantitative. No? So, these are the basis for the diagnosis. No? High index of suspicion, do a good pelvic exam, request for serum beta HCG, and search for other signs of metastasis. The most common site of metastasis are the lungs. Lungs talaga, number 1. Okay? Now, you were monitoring HCG, di ba kanina? Sa H-mole? Eh, alam nga naman panoorin mo lang sa HCG, ay, sige. You have to have a criteria. This patient's HCG or condition is not resolving. So, she's developing GTN. No? So, ito, plateau, rise, and the persistence of HCG. These are the criteria. Memorize ulit, ha? Memorize, ha? But again, ha? Not content yourself with just memorizing. You have to be able to apply it in cases, okay? So, I will run through this. Basahin nyo na lang, no? The different types of histologic classification of GTN, okay? H-mole. Again, invasive mole, galing lang sa H-mole, ha? Invasive mole does not develop from an abortion or an ectopic or burn. However, choriocarcinoma, which as the name implies, no? Invasive kasi it has invaded. So if you will look at the histopatho, tingnan mo yung picture dyan. No? Mukha siyang H-mole, no? Because of the chorionic villi, no? Saying, no? But it invades the myometrium. So para siyang hybrid, no? Hybrid. Mukhang benign na si chorionic villi, but because of the invasion, then it's already malignant. Okay? Unlike choriocarcinoma, which is the most malignant of them all, grossly look, parang nabulong na uterus. No? Look at the necrotic, friable, and purplish ragged structure here. No? That's the placenta, actually. Look what happens. Look at the difference. Look at choriocarcinoma. What is the thing that you actually see or differentiate it from the invasive mode? Walang chorionic villi. Diba? They're just made up of column sheets of trophoblasts penetrating the myometrium. Kanina may chorionic villi. Yun ang invasive mode, where the absence of villus pattern is what differentiates a choriocarcinoma from invasive. Very early, very fast. Giniginaw na siya. No? Sa sunod, magdadala kami ko. Wala tayong way to, in the entire building, there's only one ano lang gano'n, remote. Isa lang yung buong building na. Okay, so, para tayo centralized. Before may student ako, marunong ko niyo. Ano na yung cellphone. I don't know what he did. Ginawa niya app na nasa-control na. Siguro hacker. Magaling. Naayos niya yung cellphone nga. So, very early, sabi ko, very common. The number 1 site of metastasis is the lungs, followed by the vagina. Okay? This picture, yan, yan. Vagina metastasis on the right, yan yung mass, vagina yan. Ito, fingers ng examine na yan. These are the lung metastases. Yan, bukol-bukol na yan. Those nodules. And then here, brain metastases. Yan. Yes, brain. Okay. I'll go very fast. PSTT, very rare, and so is ETT. Both of them come from intermediate trophoblasts, okay? PSTT, ETT, not very common. And the levels of HCG, of ETT and PSTT are lower than, than HMOS, or lower than choriocarcinoma, okay? And these are the ones that also respond. The first line of treatment for them is surgery. Now, before you manage patients, there are things that you have to do. Stage. Very easy to stage, ha? 1, confined to the uterus. 2, adnexa. 3, lungs. Basta nakita mo sa case na may lung metastasis, stage 3 na yon, ha? Kahit wala sa vagina, wala sa ovaries, okay? Stage 4, any other side. And then also you have to score. There's a scoring system. This scoring system is made up of 8 factors. 3, 6, 8 factors. You have to score this patient, and this scoring will tell you whether she will respond to single-agent chemotherapy or not. So if you get a score of less than 6, she will respond to single-agent chemotherapy. If she gets a score of 7 or more, she will respond to combination. Can you imagine, I'll just tell you the importance, why prognostic score, it prognosticates your patient. Ano ba yun? Meaning to say, if she's low risk, she should be given single agent, methotrexate or actinomycin. If she's high risk, you give her the combination chemotherapy. Okay, understand? Ngayon yan, nasusunod nun, what if we did not score this patient? We just gave her a single agent. Wala na scoring. What will happen? She will not respond. She will cause resistance. Then only you will know, then that's the time you will shift her to combination. So the response rate is poorer. At the onset, dapat you are able to give her what is appropriate. Okay, that's the WHO prognostic scoring. Don't worry, I will not ask you to score. If ever I ask you to score, I'll give you the table. Madali lang naman yan, score naman. Para lang example, ilang taon na yung patient mo, less than 40, zero yun. What was the pregnancy before this, was it an age more zero pa din, so it's very self-explanatory, okay? So again, by this time, it's not anymore the term of general OBGYN. You definitely have to refer her to a specialist, a GTD specialist. Ako, GTD specialist, but anyway, you refer this patient, it's not anymore managed because chemotherapy will be the primary treatment. Again, single agent for low risk, methotrexate or actinomycin. Hysterectomy can be offered to patients who have completed their family, let's say, advanced age, completed family, not desirable. But still, it's not the first line of treatment, it's still chemo. You give chemo, then the hysterectomy. But at the present time, we may also do hysterectomy as the first, only in low-risk patients. Low risk. Not talagang stage 1. Pero pag far higher than that, hindi na. We start muna with chemo, then hysterectomy. Okay? So you give chemotherapy, sunod, no? You give her a 5-day course, then you repeat the HCG after 1 week, then after another week, start na naman with the 5-day course. Those courses will be given tuloy-tuloy until HCG becomes 0 to 5. Okay? So, syempre, pag low risk siya, chances are, mabilis ang recovery. Okay? And then again, no, you should avoid pregnancy. Contraception is being given during the entire treatment period and even during the surveillance period. You usually do surveillance at least monthly for at least 1 year. Why do you have to prevent her from becoming pregnant? Sabihin mo, chemotherapy, mabubuntis pa naman yan. Yes. And the problem is, if she gets pregnant, she is at very high risk for miscarriage because she's on chemotherapy. Okay? So, after this treatment, if she's well, you did not remove the uterus, she's capable of becoming pregnant again. Yes? So mga 1 year mo lang siya observe, then after 1 year, particularly if she's just low risk, you can allow her to become pregnant. And just do the usual surveillance, the usual pregnancy surveillance. Do an early ultrasound to determine how normal the pregnancy is, and do histopath of products of conception, especially if it's an abortion or an ectopic, no? And then also you may determine HCG after the subsequent pregnancies, okay? I think I know I tried to compress everything. That was on the presumption that you have read some. But I understand and I truly presume, conclude, and not only assume, but that you haven't read. Who's read the topic before we came to class? Title man lang. Okay. So now I hope in this very short encounter when you go home tonight, you will be able to read it. That's a very, make it a habit. Hindi yung pag-uwi, Netflix ka agad, watch ka agad. Yung make it a habit, how many subjects did you have for today? O bilang lahat, o bilang. 2 subjects lang for today, o bilang. At the CTS, o di ba? Grabe na, yun na. Anyway, when you go home tonight, basta lang.
Ano number
You
yun?
know, make it a habit to always read. All of you already have your manuals. Everybody has a copy of the
Ay, meron
manual.
po. Thank you.
Hindi pa yung QR code, wala ba? Wala pa yung manuals. Sige, pero hindi kayo ang aking